Hi friends, and welcome to Season 5 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Loner Deck Battles series. I think what I'm gonna do is for the episodes where I show off the decks, I'm gonna try to get them all done in one fell swoop instead of like putting out a video for each one. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to get show off these decks before the festival starts, and the festival starts on the 18th. And like what happens is that they only like give you like a few days to like look at them anyway before the festival starts. So I think I'm gonna do it this way, and you can feel free to let me know down in the comments if you prefer this way anyway, or if you want to like watch me like do them one at a time like I've been doing before. But I think this should be pretty good too. First of all, it seems that the three loner decks this time, two of them, they're really, basically all three of them, they're really honing in the Wandering Traveler's secret pack. They really, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they're kind of like having another way of like being able to like expands like what these decks kinda are like without having to open the packs. I mean, of course they're not going to be like the greatest way you would play the decks, but like it's going to give you a general idea at least. And then the Machinas aren't really a new archetype, but a few of the cards were in the selection pack. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, I don't think we really had that for like the others, because like this is, I think, the first time that like it's pretty much falling right after a selection pack came out. So I'm glad they decided to do it this way. I'm kind of excited, especially about the Adventurer, because I think the Adventurer is my favorite. But Floowandereeze looks pretty interesting too. So anyway, I'm gonna get straight into the Adventurer. The deck description reads: a deck centered around adventurer tokens and effects of various cards. If an adventurer token is not on your field, the battle cannot begin. First, let's try to activate Rite of Aramesir. If you don't have it in your hand, then you can use the effect of Water Enchantress in the Temple instead. If you don't have either of these cards in your hand, fight on by calling monsters to your hand using Faithful Adventure, and use Wandering Griffin Rider that can be special summoned when there are no monsters on your field. I like how they say if you don't have either of these cards in hand, but if you have Faithful Adventure. Because what you can do with Faithful Adventure is you can just get the Water Enchantress using the Faithful Adventure, and then you can basically do that combo where you use the Enchantress to get yourself to the Rite of Aramesir. So it works either way, which... But, oh well. And then the deck is called the Adventurer Summoning Rite of Aramesir. Aramesir, however you say it. And then, anyway, the extra deck, once again, this is where you can't play any extra deck cards, but I think it should still be fine. Oh, looks like they're even using the field spell, too. They're really going all into the Adventurers. Okay, so... I'll just try to go quick through these cards, but I'll still but you can, I'll still bring them big so you can like read each of the effects if you still want to. So this is pretty easy. So Water Enchantress is basically used. It's mainly used to get you to the Rite of Aramesir. I mean the special summon bonus is pretty nice for when you control an adventure token. But mainly you're just using it to get to the Rite of Aramesir. And then the field spell is also kind of nice too. Like if you already have this setup, you can at least still use it to grab yourself the field spell. And then Witch of the Black Forest is, I'm assuming, basically there because all of your other monsters have, well, most of your other monsters have low enough a defense to be searched for. But most of the time, you're probably going to be searching for the Water Enchantress so that you can like start your combos. The only thing about this, you don't actually, it can be pretty much sent from the field to the graveyard pretty much anyway, and it won't miss timing since it's a mandatory effect. So that is pretty nice. I'm not sure like what ways you have of being able to like send this to the graveyard outside of like destroying it by battle, but you can always attack through a monster and like a higher attack monster so you can get its effect off. So yeah, not a bad inclusion either. And Planet Pathfinder has a pretty, yeah, I'll show you here. And then Planet Pathfinder has a pretty simplistic effect as well. Oh, and I guess like what's kind of nice is like without an extra deck, I'm probably going to be pretty much looking at like less than 40 cards because of all the duplicates that are probably going to be in these decks as well. So yeah, this should help speed things up a bit. Okay, and then the next card is Planet Pathfinder, which has a really simplistic effect. It's basically like terraforming on legs. They don't actually give you terraforming, which would probably been a better card, but oh well, like you probably don't really need to worry much about normal summoning anyway. You're mostly going to be like special summoning your adventurer stuff. I think, yeah, you can special summon this card from your hand while you control an adventure token as well. So yeah, Planet Pathfinder gets you to the field spell. So I guess I'll just talk about the field spell now. You actually have two different field spells you can go into. So it can get you to either one. And these both call for adventure tokens. So one enchantress can also search for either one of these. So Zera Fam, I don't think, yeah, are you running Noble Arms of Light? Yeah, you are running Noble Arms of Light. So this one, keeps your opponent from being able to activate cards or effects during the battle phase when you control a monster with Noble Arms of Light with this card. And then this one basically just gives one of your monsters 500 attack for each different monster that calls that mentions adventure tokens. So it could give, so if you have like 4 different monsters on the field that all mention adventure tokens, like that's 2,000 extra attack. Like this could be pretty good. Like even if you only have 2, like you're gonna definitely pretty much have 1 at least. So like it's gonna be pretty easy to at least have 1, and a boost of like 500 even isn't too bad. And then also it has like the effect sort of like the Dracoback, where if it's sent to a graveyard, you get to equip it to an adventure token. It doesn't matter how it's sent to a graveyard. So you can even just basically like add something with the Faithful Adventure, which I'll go into a little bit more later on. And then Faithful Adventure has like a kind of like a quote-unquote drawback where you have to like send a card after using its effect. You can just send one of the equip spells to the graveyard, and then they can equip to like one of your adventure tokens, which you should be able to pretty easily get going out of all the plays. And then this one has some other effects about like doing things when your adventure token destroys an opponent's monster at battle. It's a little bit of damage infliction, but that probably doesn't really matter that much. But like the big thing about that is like if you use that little bit of damage infliction effect, you can like then go into the other field spell, yeah, which is this one. So I believe these ones can search for the other field spell. Yeah, so that's why you're running 2 different field spells, because this one can search for the Force, and the Force can search for the Zerlam. So it has pretty good recursion here. Unfortunately, oh yeah, and it can also get them back from the graveyard. So you should pretty much always have a field spell, be able to have a field spell up no matter what happens, really. Yeah. And then Forest of Lost Flowers is the other field spell. And then that calls for equipping your stuff with this one, Starlight Papillon. So that's the thing about the adventurer stuff. It seems that they do a lot of callbacks to different archetypes. Like the Duel does a callback to Noble Knights. Starlit Papillon does a callback to the Papillon archetype. I believe Dragoback also kind of does a callback to something, but I forget. And like, there's probably a lot more callbacks they do that I'm just not catching, but it's okay. So this one is basically the opposite of the other one. Where instead of like having your monster gain attack, it has your opponent's monster lose attack, but basically in the same way. So that's pretty simple, and it has like the graveyard effect that all the other quick spells have, where when it's sent to a graveyard in any way, you just equip it to adventure token. So they have quite a bit of recursion as long as you control an adventure token. That's kind of like the Noble Arms. That kind of reminds me of the Noble Arms, actually. Because with the Noble Arms, as long as you control a Noble Knight, like, even if your equip spells are sent to a graveyard, you can just equip them to a Noble Knight monster you control. So, yeah. But I believe that it has to be from the field to the graveyard. I don't think it can be sent to the graveyard other ways than you equip it. But these are pretty cool because they can be sent to the graveyard anyway. So, yeah. So there's the two field spells, and now I'll move on to the next monster, which is Magicore, Warrior of the Relics. So this guy basically can special summon himself while you control an adventurer token, and he also helps search for traps that mention adventure tokens. So that's pretty cool. And then, so basically the traps I can search for is either Thunder Discharge or Breath of Resurrection. And then Thunder Discharge can act as a pretty cool board wipe, it looks like. So that's pretty cool. It needs to destroy like all monsters with attack less than or equal to it. But the cool thing about that is if you like have it equipped with like Duel, like its attack can actually be pretty high, so you might be able to like basically destroy all your opponent's monsters if you like basically just target a monster equipped with Duel. Yeah. And then Breath of Resurrection allows you to special summon monsters from either hand or graveyard. And then you also get to recur equip spell from your graveyard, equip one to a monster you control that's in your hand. So that's pretty cool. And then, so there are those two traps. Then the next one is Wandering Griffin Rider. This is one of the best adventure guys, I would say. He, like, basically, like the other guy, he can special summon himself while you control an adventure token. Also, while you control no monsters, which can be pretty cool. But mostly, you're, like, basically special summoning him when you control an adventure token. But, like, the fact that you can, like, do either one is pretty cool. And then he basically is, like, if your opponent then tries activating a card effect while he's on the field and you control an adventure token, you basically just are able to negate that effect and then like shuffle this card into the deck, and then you can just get back later with Faithful Adventure, with the Faithful Adventure effect. I'll talk about this because he's pretty good in combination with Faithful Adventure. This one says it also has the ability that like helps protect some of your monsters equipped with equip spells from being able to be destroyed by battle. So that's pretty cool, but mostly it's used for the effect that allows you to search for a monster that mentions adventure token, which is most of your main deck monsters. Probably the biggest search will be the Water Enchantress if you don't have the Rite of Aramesir. But then you have to send a card from your hand to a graveyard. But if you already have an adventure token up, and you have an equip spell in the in your hand, or if you just search for an equip spell, like what you can do is you can just send that equip spell to the graveyard and then like activate its graveyard effect to equip it to one of your adventure tokens that you control. So that's pretty cool. And it also has another effect where like once per turn, well, no, I don't think it even is once per turn. So that's actually pretty cool. I don't think it's this last effect is even once per turn. So whenever a monster is known as special summon, it doesn't even have to be your monster. You get to basically either add an equip spell to your hand or equip it to an adventure token. So that's pretty cool. So it basically allows you to like allows you easy access to any of your equip spells, and they all have some pretty good effects. Dracoback like pretty much needs to be equipped to specifically adventure token in order to have an effect, because like it needs to be equipped to a non-effect monster, but when it is, you get to basically bounce one of your opponent's cards, which is actually pretty cool, especially when you can like get like faithful adventure during your opponent's turn, and then it can basically act as like kind of quick effect disruption in a way. You can basically bounce back the monster that your opponent tried summoning, or like you can always wait and do it later, or like since this isn't once per turn, you can like probably go for one of your other equip spells first, and then only when you feel like the bounce is necessary go for the Dracoback. I believe so. I don't see that says like this last effect is once per turn. So I guess if you had more than one of these, like you could like potentially get like 2 equip spells for every one time your opponent normal special summons. Huh, that's pretty cool. Oh, you can only use each of the following effects of a Faithful Adventure once per turn. Now I see it. Yeah, because that would have been really powerful. But the thing is, like, since like it says like you can take one equip spell, you can always wait until it's most convenient and then do the search effect, or like basically equip from the deck effect, which is mostly. But the fact that you can either search or equip from the deck means that like you don't necessarily need to have an adventure token in order to make it work. And then these are pretty standard, right? Geki, Harpy's Feathers. I don't think I need to go through these much. I've like. And then Pop's Eyes is extra draw. Lightning Storm, it's really good. Either that's good for both like being backward removal or monster removal. So it's nice that it has that versatility. And then this one is the other really good card that you can like search off the Water Enchantress. This one is really good. It also helps search for your Faithful Adventure as well. But even if you already have Faithful Adventure, just the fact that it gets you like an adventure token is really big. Because like you don't have many other ways of being able to like special summon adventure tokens. So yeah, like this is pretty much a needed card. Like without this, like I learned the hard way that without this, you can't really special summon adventure tokens. So yeah, this one is pretty important. And also protecting your adventure token is kind of important as well, since you don't have many other ways of like special summoning adventure tokens outside this card. But you do have a few ways of being able to protect your adventure tokens. You can protect them from battle via the Faithful Adventure, which is pretty good. And then, but like I guess outside of that, they can still be like destroyed by card effects. I don't know, but like I still think the deck is pretty good. I don't know like how good it is when like the adventure tokens can still be destroyed kind of easily, but we'll see. We'll see how a pure adventure deck works. That's what's so fun about this series. Anyway, and then Twin Twisters is pretty easy. The cool thing about this is since you get to target up to 2, you can just like, if your opponent only has 1 spell or trap and you don't want to destroy one of your own, you can always just target that one. I mean, not as good of a deal, but like you can do it that way. You can also like destroy your own equip spell and then one of your opponent's stuff with this card. Um, so you can like trigger the graveyard effect, I guess. Um, and then infinite impermanence and call by the grave are pretty like standard meta cards too. And then red reboot is basically there to stop like is basically there to stop your opponent from being able to activate trap cards. I think this is mostly good for like when you can like get rid of your opponent's stuff right afterwards. So like if you like have like lightning storm, you can activate this first and then you can just lightning storm their back row and then you don't have to worry about them activating like a solemn judgment response. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and then also the whole like being able to activate it from your hand is pretty nice as well. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the next one now. So here's the next deck. So now I'll start talk about the Floowandereeze. I'm gonna try to be a bit quicker. So the deck description reads: a Floowandereeze deck that uses normal summoning as its core strategy. It can summon via the effect of Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map, or even summon during the opponent's turn with the effect of Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. Bring out the full potential of Floowandereeze monsters, and summoning your key cards like Floowandereeze and Snell. Tribute summoning a level 7 or higher monster requires you to tribute 2 monsters, but if the effect of Floowandereeze and the unexplored winds is applied, it is also possible to tribute summon while dealing with an opponent's card. Yeah, I'll see what that means. But first, the first card is Lower Swallow. I don't believe you can get this from the, or maybe you can, and I just wasn't seeing it. But like this isn't really going to be played in like a meta Floowandereeze. I don't. A lot of these cards are probably not going to be really played in a meta Floowandereeze deck. But like this could be good for something like this. Like they do have a lot of like double normal summons, even like more than just double normal summons. That's what's pretty good about that. So anyway, this one reads, this one allows you to special summon from the hand as long as you have at least 2 monsters with the same level. Oh wait, no. Or your opponent, or you can have the same level as one of your opponent's monsters, and so special summon it. So that's pretty cool. And then it has a little bit of a small effect that lets you tribute the card to simply draw 2 instead of 1 during your next draw phase. But I think you're mostly going to be using it as like using it for like tribute summon fodder. So like you're probably not going to be using its like that like tribute effect much. But I guess that is kind of cool, but like it's a little slow, so probably more using it just for the special summoning. And then the Floowandereeze and Robina is a pretty good card. This one is basically one of those that helps you I mean the like whole like not being allowed to special summon during the turn use these effect any of their effects doesn't really matter, because this one is more about just like normal summoning a whole bunch. Which like one of the things I'm thinking that might be kind of dangerous with that is like if your opponent is like able to stop the first normal summon, like it might be kind of hard to make follow-up plays unless you have like other cards that allow you to like normal summon as well that aren't like specifically the monsters. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this one, they basically all have like the same effect too, where like when they're normal summon, you get to add a level 4 lower wing beast monster from your deck to hand, and then normal summon a wing beast monster in addition, like, and then like, so it's kind of like the true Draco effects, where like the spells and traps let you like do a tribute summon right after the effects resolve, but like instead of like simply just like having that one effect, it also lets you search in order to guarantee that you have a monster that you're able to like normal summon using that effect. So they can't search for the higher level, the really high level monsters, but they can search for like the other level ones. It has to be a different name. Oh, this one allows you to search for a little bit for the higher level monsters. So this one has basically the same effect of Robina, but instead of searching for level 4 lower wing beasts, this one searches for the high level wing beasts. And then you get to know summon a wing beast monster after that. So that's pretty nice. And then Floowandereeze and Stree is the next one. This one allows you to banish a colony the graveyard when it's normal summon. And then you get to normal summon a wing beast monster. So I can definitely see why these two are the best, since these two are the ones that search for other monsters. So I don't know if this would see play outside of the festival, but I mean, like, it can come up. It's kind of like a DD Crow effect while giving you an extra normal summon. And then also they all have, like, all of the level 1 guys also have the effect where, like, when you normal summon basically when you normal summon one of your wing beast monster, you can just add them to your hand from the banish pile. And it's not a once per turn effect, so you can just keep doing it. You can just keep banishing them and then keep adding them to your hand. And they can even trigger multiple at a time too, I believe. And then here's the next level 1 guy, Floowandereeze and Token. So this one has the effect where when it's normal summon, you get to add one of your banished Floowandereeze cards to the hand. Probably don't want to trigger one of the ones that like can add themselves to the hand on a normal summon anyway. So you want to trigger like one of your cards that like that's not so easy to just get back to your hand anyway. So like maybe like the higher level Floowandereeze monsters, or like any of your like Floowandereeze spells or traps you could do with that one. And then of course like the other ones, it has like you get an extra normal summon after. Not even like really an extra normal summon, just like the reason why like you the saying like me after this effect resolves you normal summon is because then you can like have like more than just like because normally only allowed one extra normal summon per turn, but they kind of get around that because of how the effects are worded. It's not like worded in a way where like you get like to normal summon something else in addition to your normal summon set. It's worded in a way where it can give you like multiple. You can just keep going with the normal summons, which is pretty cool. And then Floowandereeze and Snarl is the next one. This one is pretty cool. It gives you extra normal summons or sets like just I think you do have to activate it though, so like it can be like pretty easily negated, but it's pretty cool that like you get like that can just like give you extra normal summons or sets just by simply being on the field. I'm not sure how important that is, which I can see like why like people may not want to bother with this card, but because like you should be already getting a whole bunch of normal summons anyway. I guess that helps you get around like the downside, like if like they negate your first normal summon, you might not have very much follow-up play, but I don't know. And then also like this has the effect where it can deal piercing bow damage as well, so that's pretty cool. And then also allows you to banish a card from your hand during your opponent's turn to change all of their special monsters to face down defense. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And that banishing a card from your hand is really a downside if you just banish one of your level 1 guys, since they can just like get themselves back into your hand as long as you normal summon a wing beast later on, which shouldn't be that hard to do. And then Floowandereeze and Empen is probably the better of the two high level monsters. Oh, I can see why. Because it searches out your spells and traps. It's another way of searching out your spells and traps, and then it gives you an extra normal summon, and then it gives you a normal summon too, where like you're using a normal summon off of like a monster effect instead of just your regular normal summon for the turn. So that's pretty cool. And then this just locks down special summon monsters in attack position from your opponent. So that's really cool too. So if your opponent wants to activate the effects of the special summon monsters, they have to summon them in defense position. And then if they do it that way, they can't attack with those monsters because you can't normally attack with defense position monsters. So it should most of the time not allow your opponent to attack, which is kind of I think reminds me of that like final turn and whatever it is, where it basically like puts all like special summon monsters in defense position. That like I think it's a continuous trap. But anyway, yeah, that seems really good. So it doesn't like totally lock them out from being able to activate their effects, but like it basically says like if they want to activate their effects, they have to basically give up attacking with that monster, which can also be a pretty big deal. And then also it has a little bit of an effect where you get to banish a card during the damage calculation in order to have the attack and defense of an opponent's monster, which is pretty cool because that means that like right before you like it's deciding who the victor of the battle is, you can do it, and then like suddenly like and then you can catch your opponent by surprise and like have them like basically force them to destroy one of their own monsters by battle. But like I guess since it's on an effect that they can easily like see like it can like pretty much dissuade them from wanting to attack anyway. But like still like dissuading them from wanting to attack is pretty cool. So like basically it's like but like it is once per battle, so like maybe they can like if they have multiple higher attack monsters that can beat over this guy, which isn't really too easy. They can attack using one of their monsters first that they care less about, and then just attack with the other one. But I mean, it's still a really good effect. It dissuades them from attacking when they can attack, and then it also dissuades them from wanting to put their monsters in attack position because at least their special summon monsters, because otherwise the opponent can activate the effects of those monsters. So yeah, pretty good. And then these are pretty standard. Again, Pop's Eyes for the draw. It seems like all of these decks like pretty much like have the same staple cards, or at least most of the same staple cards, and then also the red reboot too. And then also the Call by the Grave. So I'm not really gonna go through those again. And then here's the Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. This is a pretty good field spell. It allows you to reveal a low level Floowandereeze in your hand, and then you banish one of your Floowandereeze cards with a different name from your deck, which you're pretty much gonna do one of the level 1 guys, so that like when you like do a normal summon using this card's effect, you just add the one that you banish back into your hand anyway. So really like it's like you're basically getting a free normal summon, and you're getting basically a free search of any of your level 1 guys too. So overall really good. Of course it has that hard once per turn, but still really good. And then here's the continuous spell one. So this one is kind of like the Monarch that Monarch Stormforth, that allows you to like tribute off one of your monsters and tribute off one of your opponent's monsters in order to like tribute summon one of your higher level monsters. So yeah, that's really good. So then you only need like to have like one monster on the field, and then only have your controlling monster, and then you can still like know someone of your like level 10 guys. So that's pretty good. And then also it allows you to like cycle your hand a bit if you need to, Which, I mean, I'm not sure if you're gonna like want to do that as much, because I think you would want to like keep the wing beast monsters in your hand rather than putting them back in the deck. But like if you need to, you have that. Mostly it's gonna be used um for the Monarch Stormforce like effect though. And then here's the two Floowandereeze traps. First the Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. That says, okay, this one basically allows you to quick effect tribute summon. Oh wait, no, normal summon. So that's pretty cool. You can activate this during your opponent's main phase and then quick effect normal summon something, and then that can basically help you get your effects going even on your opponent's turn. So it's not just one quick effect normal summon, because all of your low level guys have like normal summon effects when they're normal summon. That means you can like basically like do a whole bunch of normal summons on your opponent's turn and get a whole bunch of like card advantage even on your opponent's turn, which is pretty cool. And then also it says that when you tribute one of your high level monsters while this card is in graveyard, you get to, it's another way to change all of your monsters to face, all of your opponent's monsters to face down defense position, which is kind of cool. Especially since your opponent's definitely not going to be playing Link monsters. That's probably going to be a really good effect for this festival. That's kind of like that one that one big boss dinosaur monsters effect, and like obviously that effect is seen to be pretty good because the dinosaurs are pretty good with that effect. But it's especially going to be good without links. And then this one is the counter trap. And then you do need to have one of your tribute summon monsters on the field. But as long as you have a tribute summon monster, you don't have to worry about the other one, because you're not playing like special summon monsters except for the slower swallow. I guess you do have to like worry a little bit, but as long as you get the this one off the field after you special summon it right away, which should be pretty easy. Like you don't really have to worry much about like the controlling no special summon monsters. And then this basically just negates a special summon, so that's pretty cool. You get to negate that summon and you return to the hand, which could potentially be better, because if that monster has graveyard effects, now they can't like just like activate their graveyard effects. Your opponent pretty much has to figure out another way to get it into the graveyard. And then also it locks up your opponent from being able to special summon too, so that's pretty cool. They can still conduct 3 normal summons as sats, but like if they were really focused on special summoning, that may not like really make a difference. Anyway, so that's the second deck, the Floowandereeze deck, and then here's the Machina deck. Okay, so the deck description of this reads: a Machina focused deck that uses high level machine type monsters. Prepare yourself for the powerful monsters you will summon with Machina redeployment, such as Machina Air Raider. That can be special summoned by discarding a Machina monster from your hand, or Machina Citadel. That can be special summoned from your graveyard when face up machine type earth monster on your field is destroyed in battle by an effect. When the level of the machine type monsters in graveyard totals 12 or more, a new trump card called Machina Ruin Force can rise from the graveyard. Experience the extraordinary power of the Machina Armament unit. So it seems like these like have a lot of focus with like graveyard effects. So, and then the deck's called Machina Activation. So here's the first card: Unauthorized Boot Up Device. I believe this is one of the new cards from the Wandering Travelers. I'm not exactly sure though, but I don't know. Anyway, it says that, oh yeah, and another thing about these Machinas is that like a few of them have like union based effects without actually being union monsters. Oh wait, no, they are union monsters, my bad. So this this union monster's equip effect basically helps protect the thing that's equipped to from being destroyed, being able to be destroyed by battle card effect. Yeah, so it basically destroys itself. So it's basically only once, because after that, like this card is gone, so it's no longer able to help protect the monster. But even like helping to protect it once can be like pretty huge, and especially since you can equip it with more than one unit monster, I believe. And then anyway, and then when it destroys itself, basically, you get to special summon this card. So that's pretty cool. So then you can like during your next turn, you can just like re-equip it to something, and then like have it like protect another thing. So that's pretty cool. That's got like a pretty easy special summon. Too bad it doesn't like re-equip to something. It just special summons, which isn't as big of a deal. And because like the equip effect isn't a quick effect. Anyway, the next card is another union monster. This one's pretty cool because it helps search for one of your Machina monsters, and also you can equip it to a monster, and then basically helps give basically the same protection as unauthorized boot up device. But like this one is probably better since it searches for one of the other Machina monsters. But it doesn't special summon itself back out when you have to destroy it instead of like the other monster, like via its union effect. The next card is Machina Possess Storage, which basically helps you get out one of the other Machina monsters when it's summoned. I mean, the Machina monster you get out can't activate its effects this turn, but still, like, you can, like, target any of your Machinas, like, even your high-level monsters. And it's only, like, for the turn, so you can always, like, if they have, like, quick effects, you can always, like, activate those quick effects after this turn. And then also, this allows you to, like, put back row back into your opponent's hand. You do have to give up one of your Machina monsters, but I mean, if you can like pretty easily like special summon it or like normal summon it out again anyway, like it's not too big of a deal, and like it can be still pretty good. Like if you have a way of like special summoning the gear frame out again, like maybe you can like do another search. Since oh wait, it's only when it's normal summon. But yeah, like maybe you could like still like return the gear frame to your hand to like get a search on another turn or something. And then the next card is Machina Reset Avenger, which basically helps boost one of your other Machina monsters' attack up a bit. And since it's a quick effect, it's kind of cool because that, like, then you can kind of like similar to Honest, you can basically activate it when it's like when your opponent already declares an attack against that monster, and then you can at least maybe get rid of one of their monsters in like a surprising fashion. So pretty good, pretty nice. But that effect is in once per turn. Oh wait, you can only use each effect of Machina Reset Avenger once per turn. But still not bad. Like a 1200 point boost can like help for some pretty surprising like reverse destructions. And also it helps aid its graveyard effect when you get to add it to your hand. So like if you basically activate it when your opponent is attacking and then that causes a monster to be destroyed by battle, you can then just add this back to your hand from the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. That is definitely pretty cool. That's a pretty nice combo right there. And then the next one is Machina Unclasp Spare. I remember this is one of the cards that are found in the Wandering Travelers. I'm almost positive about that. And then this one allows you to special summon it. Like basically if you're searching for it, you get to like just special summon it right away. So that's pretty cool. And then the whole like locking you out of like special summoning other monsters that aren't machine types aren't that big of a deal, because all of your monsters are gonna be machines. Konami likes to like keep the deck pretty uniform, so that's pretty nice. And then um and then this also like helps to mill your Machina monsters to the graveyard, which like isn't really that big of a downside, because you can just pick one of your Machina monsters that would have a good graveyard effect. Like this one has a pretty good graveyard effect where it can get special summon itself from the graveyard. But another thing about another cool thing you can do with this one besides just that is all you really need to be able to like special summon this while it's in your hand is just like pretty much like any other like monster, like that's as long as it's like level 1 or higher. Like so it's pretty much any other monster, and then you can just discard this card and that other monster, and then since that is technically above level 8, you still get to special summon from the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. And it has a nice, pretty simple effect where once you sort of a battle, you can also crash into something and then like be able to destroy something else on top of that too. So pretty cool. And then also if your opponent tries targeting this with something, you get to discard one of their cards. You actually get to look at your opponent's hand, discard one of their cards. And not a lot of effects actually let you look at your opponent's hand. So being able to like do all of that, like the hand information alone is a pretty good deal. And it can keep your opponent, and it can kind of dissuade your opponent from wanting to target this thing with their effects. So yeah, pretty cool. And then this other one is it's kind of similar to Machina Fortress, but you just discard one of the other Machina monsters instead to special summon it from the hand. It doesn't have a special summon from the graveyard effect, unlike the Fortress, but that's okay. And then it also has a quick effect that can only be activated on your opponent's turn, not on your turn. But it does allow you to special summon something from the deck. And all you really need in order to do that is like just have this on the field, because you can't just target itself and then just special summon one of your other Machina monsters from the deck equal or lower levels. So even just targeting itself can help get out any of your level 8 or lower monsters, which is quite a few. You have quite a few good targets with that. So yeah, pretty cool. And then since it's being special summoned during the opponent's turn, I think there might be some that like have like effects that like activate on your opponent's turn too. Yeah, like you could special summon the possess storage and then like get its like, and then special summon another Machina from a different Machina from your graveyard too, like during your opponent's turn. So you could like get up to like, so you could technically get 2 different special summons with this thing. So that's pretty cool. And then the next card is Machina Radiator, which it basically has the same effect as Air Raider. So but it kind of has like a special effect similar to Air Raider, but instead of being able to like only be activated on your opponent's turn, this one can only be activated on your turn. And instead of like special summoning something from your deck, it special summons a Machina from your graveyard. But the level thing is the same still. So you can still target itself and then special summon a level 8 or lower monster from the graveyard. You could still special summon possess storage and like get like 2 special summons for the price of 1. So that's pretty cool. So those 2 seem pretty good. And they're pretty easy to special summon too. And the nice thing about this one is it's like special, how you special summon it goes in line with like its effect too. So like it helps basically fuel its effect. So that's the nice thing about that one. And then Machina Metal Cruncher allows you to normal summon this thing without having a tribute. And then when it is normal summon, so you're pretty much always going to be like either normal summoning this thing or special summoning it. And then when you do, you get to add basically one of your random earth machines to your hand from your deck. But like if you don't want it to be so random, you can always pick two of the same, two of one of your machine guys and then one of your other, since you don't have three of any of your Machina stuff. And then like there's pretty good chances that you're gonna be adding the one that you searched out 2 copies of. And then Machina Citadel is the one that has a graveyard effect, where like when a earth machine monster is destroyed by battle card effect, you get to special summon this card. And it also has the effect where like it can like destroy quite a few monsters. Like if you destroy one of your machines with really high attack, and even like you can like even just target itself, and then all of your opponent's monsters with 3,000 less attack pretty much get destroyed along with just one of yours. So it's a pretty good deal. And then also like there's ways of getting it into your graveyard from the deck via like the unclasp here. So, and then the Machina Ruin Force is the other one that you could like mill with that unclasp bear. You just need to banish like machine monsters from a graveyard whose total levels equal 12 or more to special summon it. And it has some pretty good effects. It like has like some pretty good negate effects. And then also has the opponent's life points on top of that. It only negates effects during the battle phase though, so it's not as good. But like still like some important effects can come up during the battle phase, so you might be able to like utilize that. But also you get to like recur some of your banished Machina monsters that you use for this thing's special summon when it's destroyed by battle card effect. And since it's up to 3, even if you only like say like if you banish like 2, like you can always just target like you can't really target the 2 since they have to equal 12 or less. Actually, if you banish exactly 3 Machina monsters and got the levels exactly up to 12, like you could like technically just special summon all 3 of those monsters back from the graveyard, kind of like in a similar way to the ABC Buster Dragon. And then here's the next cards. Again, like these are pretty much all the same, along with the Call by the Grave and the Infinite Impermanence and the Red Reboot. I pretty much already went over those. So I'll go over the Machina redeployment now. This one can get you like more Machina monsters, like search for more Machina monsters. So that's pretty cool. It's basically you don't really like lose anything for activating this effect, since you basically like lose 2 cards to gain 2 cards. But you could like discard, like for example, your Ruin Force, since that wants to be in the graveyard anyway, or like even your Citadel. So like you could potentially go like +1 with this effect, or +2 maybe, depending on what you discard. And then they do have to have different names though, but like that shouldn't be too hard. And then also and then the second effect is pretty much the same. Is instead of like just getting monsters, it's Machina cards, but it has to be specifically discarding a Machina card. But so like that one can get you a bit more stuff if you kind of pay a more specific price, but that shouldn't be too hard to do anyway. So this can help you get to both to some of your monsters as well as some of your Machina spells and traps. So that's pretty nice. And then Machina Defense Perimeter, basically helps protect your lower level machine monsters while you control one of your higher level machine monsters, which shouldn't be that hard to get out. It shouldn't be that hard to get one of your higher level machine monsters, because like some of them can basically special summon themselves pretty easily. Like these few can special summon themselves pretty easily, so that shouldn't be too hard. And then it helps protect your low level guys from being able to be targeted by your opponent's card effects. And also it helps give you a little bit recursion if one of your machine guys are destroyed by battle card effect. So that's pretty cool. The recursion is only a once per turn effect, but still not bad. And then limiter removal simply just doubles the attack of all machine monsters. You can like you can activate this kind of like as a surprise, like if your opponent is attacking to one of your monsters, you can like activate it as a surprise, or like, but it's probably gonna be better just activating it as like an OTK thing, since it also like destroys your machine monsters as well. But like it can be definitely useful. And then unauthorized reactivation basically allows gives you a way to equip one of your machine unit monsters to one of your machine monsters in order to give that machine monster a little bit of protection. But unfortunately, you can't really do the unauthorized boot up device effect, where like when it destroys itself in order to protect something else, like it special summons itself, because the unit monster cannot be special summoned this turn. So yeah, there's that. But you can also, but like that's okay because it still gives protection to it. So it's not that big of a deal really. And then the last card here is Machina Overdrive, which gives you another way to special summon a Machina monster from your hand or deck. So that's pretty cool. It does destroy the target monster, but you could always just target your Machina Fortress. And then when this, oh wait, no, but it has to be destroyed with battles. But like I guess like you can always just target one of your lower level Machina monsters and then special summon a different one from the deck and then just destroy that monster. It could be worth it. Because I believe some of your high level monsters can be special summoned. Like, yeah, they can be special summoned without restriction. So like you can always special summon one of your high level monsters by sacrificing your low level, which is worth it. And it also has a little bit of a smaller part of avarice effect. And instead of targeting 5 different monsters, you target 3. But you can also target your machines that are banished as well, like that have been banished by the Ruin Force, in order to get those back from the banish pile, and then you get to draw a card. So that's pretty nice. And then you can only use one Machine Overdrive effect per turn. So make sure that like, so basically if you're going to go for one of the effects, make sure that you don't need to activate the other effect in the same turn, because you can only choose between one of them each turn. But you can activate like the other effect on the next turn. So it's not that big of a deal really. So here's the 3 decks. So I hope you enjoyed this faster go through of the decks, and please let me know what you think about this new way of looking at them. But anyway, please like, share, and subscribe, considering that notification bell for regular content. Like tomorrow I'll be like doing a review. I'll also be talking about like some substitutions you can make to these decks to make them a bit better. Stuff like that. My final reviews and all that. Yeah, and I'll just like, but like the walkthroughs I'll just go through like when I'm doing the actual gameplay. So anyway, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. For those of you who want to stick around for that, I really hope you can. I really hope you watch it, and then if you do, definitely let me know that you did. Thank you. Okay. Bye everyone.